Welcome back to Chapter 12. In the last lesson, the government capped the price with a ceiling, and we got a shortage. Now we study the mirror image policy, where the government props the price up instead, the price floor. A ceiling caps the price and causes a shortage. A floor does the opposite. It holds the price up, and as we'll see, that produces a surplus instead. The whole logic flips around. So what is a price floor? It's a legal minimum price. The good may not be sold for less than this amount. The government sets a bottom price and enforces it. And just like the ceiling had a condition, so does the floor. To have any effect, the floor must sit above the equilibrium price. A floor set below equilibrium is ignored because market forces lift the price above it anyway. Why would a government want a minimum price? To guarantee producers a minimum price, so it stays worthwhile for them to keep producing. This is especially common in agriculture, where prices swing wildly. Let's use eggs as our example. Suppose eggs clear the market at 1 shekel each, with 500,000 eggs produced. The government decides that's too low for farmers and guarantees a minimum of 1 shekel 20. Eggs may not be sold below that. Here it is on the graph. Demand slopes down, supply slopes up, and they cross at the equilibrium price P star. We draw the floor as a horizontal line sitting above that equilibrium. Now look at consumers. The good is more expensive than before, so buyers cut back. Read the quantity demanded off the demand curve at the height of the floor, and you get a small QD. Producers, on the other hand, are delighted. The guaranteed high price makes it worth producing more. Read the quantity supplied off the supply curve at the floor, and you get a large QS. Put both on the graph. At the floor price, the small QD sits to the left, and the large QS sits to the right. The gap between them, with supply far exceeding demand, is excess supply. This excess supply is a surplus. Quantity supplied exceeds quantity demanded, and because the price is held up by law, it can't fall to clear the surplus the way a free market would. The surplus just persists. So the government faces the opposite problem from the ceiling. It must deal with the excess supply. And again, there are several ways to manage it. The first way is production quotas. The government limits how much each producer is allowed to make. By capping production directly, the surplus never even forms. Quotas help because they plan production in advance. Instead of letting farmers overproduce and then mopping up the excess, the quota keeps total supply from overshooting demand at the floor price, which prevents waste. If quotas aren't used, the second way is to buy up the surplus and take it off the market. Sometimes, sadly, that surplus is simply destroyed. This really does happen in agriculture. There are gentler versions of the same idea. The surplus can be exported, sold abroad so it doesn't pile up at home. Or it can be given to the poor, which removes it from the market without destroying it. The third way is to subsidize the producers. The government pays them a sum per unit. From the producer's point of view, their costs fall, just as if their raw materials had gotten cheaper. On the graph, that cost reduction shifts the supply curve to the right, with the original supply drawn faded beside the new one. The subsidy effectively lowers what it costs producers to bring each unit to market. With those lower effective costs, producers bring their full output to market, and consumers end up buying more at the price they actually pay. The catch is that the subsidy costs the government money, paid out of the public budget. Where do we see price floors in real life? Mostly in farming. Think of eggs, milk, fruits, and vegetables, products where a guaranteed minimum price protects the people who grow them. And the motive is to protect farmers' incomes. A guaranteed price means that one bad season, or a sudden glut that crashes the market price, won't ruin them. The floor keeps them in business through the ups and downs. But, as always, there's a trade-off. Producers get a higher, guaranteed price, which is the goal. But there's a surplus that someone has to manage, and consumers end up paying more and buying less. Let's check the two cases. If the floor is set below equilibrium, the market price is already higher than the minimum. The floor is non-binding, and nothing changes. But if the floor is set above equilibrium, the price isn't allowed to fall to the market clearing level. The result is a lasting surplus, exactly the situation we've analyzed. And you've actually seen a price floor already. The minimum wage is a price floor on labor. Set above the equilibrium wage, it leaves a surplus of labor, which is unemployment. Same tool, applied to the labor market. So put the two policies side by side. A ceiling is a maximum price below equilibrium, and it causes a shortage. A floor is a minimum price above equilibrium, and it causes a surplus. Mirror images. Let's state the floor mechanism in brief. A floor above P star makes quantity demanded fall and quantity supplied rise. That gives excess supply, a surplus, and it's managed through quotas, removing the surplus or subsidies. Let's put some numbers on this with the egg market and measure the surplus exactly. Here's the schedule in thousands of eggs. At 1 shekel 40, buyers want 300 and sellers offer 700. At 1 shekel 20, buyers want 400 and sellers offer 600. At 1 shekel, both are 500. First, the equilibrium. With no intervention, eggs clear at 1 shekel, where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are both 500,000. That's the natural market outcome. Now the government guarantees farmers a minimum of 1 shekel 20. Since that's above the 1 shekel equilibrium, the floor binds, and the price is held up above its natural level. Look at the producers at 1 shekel 20. The higher guaranteed price makes it worth producing more, so they supply 600,000 eggs. Their quantity has grown. Now the consumers at 1 shekel 20. The dearer price puts buyers off, so they take only 400,000 eggs. Their quantity has shrunk. So the surplus is 600,000 minus 400,000, which is 200,000 eggs left unsold. That's the glut the floor has created. And that surplus is the problem the government must now handle. It has to absorb those 200,000 eggs by setting production quotas, by buying and removing them from the market, or by subsidizing the producers. Let's summarize. A price floor is a legal minimum price, and it only bites when it's set above equilibrium. It creates excess supply, which is a surplus. The government maintains it using production quotas, buying up the surplus or subsidies. And it's common in agriculture to protect farmers. The one line to remember: a minimum price set above equilibrium always means a surplus. In the next lesson, we move from controlling prices to taxing them. We'll put a per unit tax on a good and discover two different prices hiding in one market: the price the consumer pays and the price the producer keeps. That's lesson 12.3. And keep this picture in mind. A floor helps producers by guaranteeing a good price, but it leaves behind a surplus that the market simply can't absorb on its own. If this lesson helped, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share it with someone who's studying economics. And to keep getting extra materials, join our members club, where you'll find the full quiz library, fully worked solutions, and more practice questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.